Hello chess family, it's me, National Master Jesse James, and today we're going over a very fun trap I got to play against the French defense. Hopefully you can use it in your games. As you can see here, this game was won in only 13 moves against a candidate master at 2600, not a bad rating online. And well, I forked the king and the queen, and really at this point either they're going to give me the queen or they're going to give me the king. They cannot keep both. So they made probably the wisest decision and went ahead and resigned. So let's get to it. Let's learn this trap. Here I was playing the white pieces, and I started off with e4, of course. My opponent played e6, the French defense. What's better than one pawn in the center? That's two. d4 gets played. d5 for the French defense, and here I went ahead and played pawn takes, and pawn to c4. This is known as the Panov-Botvinnik attack, a very aggressive way to play against the French defense. And I like this opening also because, well, it's going to open up the king and open up the center a lot of times because, well, as you can see here, the e file is already opened up. Now the problem that some people do not like about this is that if you go to endgame, isolated pawn is bad. But if you're playing the middle game and you love to attack like I do, it's going to give you very good attacking chances because we're going to have the only pawn in the center, which means we're going to control more squares in the center. Alright, so pawn c4 gets played, and here my opponent played a good move, pawn to c6. Here are simple ideas, just defending the pawn. And here I always like to follow the rule, develop knights before bishops. So I went ahead and played knight over to c3. A nice simple move here. Here what I'm trying to do is I really want them to take on c4 so I can develop my bishop. And here, well, it's going to control this f7 square. So, well, why wouldn't I want that to happen? Here my opponent played knight to f6, again makes sense. And here I take a little side note and I play pawn to h3. The computer doesn't like this as much, but here I like this move because I found that after knight to f3, I did not like when the bishop came over to g4 for a pin. Yeah, I just don't like this pin. I like to keep this knight because of the attacking chances, and also this knight is one of the main defenders for the d4 pawn. So with a quick little move order, I just go ahead and play pawn h3, which is a decent move. And here my opponent went ahead and played bishop out to e7 so they can go ahead and castle. Alright, now I bring out my knight to f3. Here, black castles, and here, well, I want to castle as soon as possible, so I'm going to bring out my bishop. The bishop comes out to d3, and here, some people do not like this move because black goes ahead and plays d takes on c4, and this is the rule. I will say I do not mind this at all. After you play bishop d3, you're supposed to take on c4, so the bishop moves twice. Now, why don't I mind this? Well, I don't mind this because, well, my bishop gets to the diagonal. Like I said, I want it on this diagonal. In this game, you're going to see the f7 pawn become very, very weak, very, very fast. So, well, I don't mind this because I feel like you're not really losing much out of this. All right, black saw his opportunity and played rook to e8. And you can see here it gives him a question mark, and you're probably wondering, why is this a bad move? I mean, it makes sense. The rook comes out, get ready to attack my king, and this bishop is now threatening discovery checks. Why is this bad? Because the f7 pawn gets weak. And some people may not think that's much, but, well, it's going to be enough in this game. Here, well, it's my turn. What do? Here, first things first, before I attack, I always like to make sure my king is safe, so I went ahead and castled. And here my opponent made that blunderous move I was hoping for. Here they played a standard move, knight b to d7. And strategically speaking, this is a good move because the knight is getting ready to go to b6. It then will attack the bishop and control the square on d5. Now, why is this a blunder here? Here, it cut the bishop off from its diagonal, and you're probably thinking, why is this such a big deal? It is now white to move and get into a winning position. What do you play here? Alright guys, if you haven't already, go and give us that like and subscribe. Remember, liking this video is going to share this with more chess players and, of course, help grow the chess channel. Alright, were you able to find the move? Here you get to play the double exclam of the game. We get to play bishop takes on f7 check. And here we're just forking the king and the rook. So, well, if you don't take back, you're just losing. So, king takes, of course. And now you got to do the right follow-up. After this move, my opponent just is going to get to a losing position. So what do you play? Here there's two main moves to look at. Hopefully you're looking at knight g5 or queen to b3. But only one of these works. Which one is it? Well, hopefully you chose the right move and played knight to g5 check. As we'll see here, if you do play queen b3 check, well, yep, as you can see, this is bad. It gives you a little X right there. Here, black is able to defend with knight to d5. By doing this move, he's going to get control over the g5 square, which means this knight will not be able to help out. Yes, we're going to win a pawn over here, but that's just not going to be enough after king f8, and black is going to be able to defend. So, as we said earlier, knight g5 check is correct, because as you can see, I got control over this e6 square, and I'm attacking the king right away. The bishop could not defend it. And here, there's three moves, f8, g8, and g6. But as we'll see, all three of these moves are actually losing, either getting checkmated or losing the queen. My opponent made the best move and played king f8. How is this the best move? In this one, I played knight to e6 check and took the queen. At this point, he just went ahead and resigned. So it only leaves the two other good squares, which is g8 and g6. Why are those bad? In both of those ones, you are getting checkmated. Let's go over quickly. So here, let's see what happens if they go ahead and play king to g8. This makes sense. Well, here you are either going to be losing a rook or you're going to be getting checkmated with our Philidor's Legacy or the Smothers Mate. Here we get to play queen to b3 check. This is why it was so important that this knight was not blocking this bishop. Earlier, you might have been able to help defend with it. Well, here, that's not going to happen. The best black can do here is lose a rook with knight to d5. Knight takes on d5. And here they have to take the knight here, because if they don't take it, they're going to get smother mated, as we'll go over soon. Here we'll take, attacking the queen, takes, knight f6, a double check, and here the king will go ahead and run over to h8, and we'll take this rook over here. And of course, as you can see, we're just up extra material here. We are just winning. So the question is, what's wrong with going ahead and moving the king over? Well, here, for those of you who have never seen it before, this is called the Smothers Mate. King h8, you get to play knight to f7 check, forking the king and the queen. The king comes over to g8. Now, you could take the queen, but you have greatness. You have a great idea here. You could play knight to h6, double check. Here, the knight and the queen are attacking the king. The king goes to f8. Well, we have a little checkmate right here on f7. So here, most people will play the king to h8. And the idea is you want to force a piece, either a rook or a knight to g8, because then you can Smothers Mate. Do you see that exclam move? Here you get to play queen to g8. It doesn't matter how they take. Notice the king cannot take since the knight defends. It doesn't matter which way they take. Knight f7 is going to lead you to that beautiful Smothers Mate. So it'll be game over there. So that's why in the game after knight g5 check, you can't go to g6 if you want to get checkmate or lose a rook. You can't go to f8 unless you want to lose your queen, which leaves our last option, which is g6, which is not crazy to say. You're going to get checkmated very fast here. The knight and queen are a beautiful duo to attack, so here you get to play queen to d3 check. Here the king can either go to h6 or over to h5. It really doesn't matter. If they go to h6, a quick checkmate here. Knight f7, double check for the king and the queen. The king goes to h5, and the queen comes in for checkmate. Queen f5 check. Let's just say the king moves forward, and then queen to g5 is a quick checkmate. If they go ahead and play the other idea, after queen to d3 check, they play king h5. Again, it's checkmate in 3. g4 check. If the king moves forward, it's checkmate in 1. So the knight would have to sacrifice themselves at knight takes, pawn takes, king takes, and here do you see the final move for checkmate? What do you play? That's right, you're just going to bring the queen over for a quick check and mate. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this. This was a very cool idea about a trap against the French defense, particularly whenever you get to play your Monte Carlo attack. e4, e6, d4, d5, pawn takes, c4, pawn c6. Go ahead and develop your pieces. Look for that weakness of whenever they play the rook over to e8. Remember, f7 does become weak here. You castle. Hopefully they make that blunderous move of knight b to d7, and then you go ahead and take, and then you're going to win some nice games. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you in the next video.